Good afternoon and welcome to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we are broadcasting live from Cape May County, New Jersey, beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey, which actually happens to be overcast. Cape May County, New Jersey today is actually not all that beautiful today, but we're broadcasting live from there nonetheless via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. I am very happy to have with me today Chris Casamasa. I think I got that right. I think I nailed that the first time. Chris Casamasa is who I have with me today. I'm very excited about that. He is the... excuse me one second. I just want to make sure. Okay. He is the #1 best-selling author of the book Bully Proof Fitness. Very excited to... Hi, people in Facey Land. Very excited to talk to him today, and happy to be back doing a live show. I actually did double duty today. I actually pre-taped... Hey, Ron Edwards. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Ron. Hey, Jared. I actually pre-taped the show earlier today that I think you guys are going to be really excited about, and I'll talk to you about that one a little later in a little bit. We'll talk about that, a different guest for a different time, but that's going to be a pre-tape, and that's a pre-tape, and that is going to air tomorrow. That's going to air while I'm on my way to Sirius XM, so you'll get to hopefully hear that tomorrow. So pretty excited about that interview. It was an awesome interview, not because I was awesome by any stretch of the imagination, but my guest was total awesome sauce. So I really excited about him. But for now, I have Chris Casamasa, and we're going to talk about the cost of bullying today. It's a subject that's you probably I'm very articulate today. Probably normally wouldn't hear about on a show about money, but there are, of course, emotional costs and physical costs. But in addition to that, there are certainly financial costs, which our guest is going to talk to us about today. So I'm excited to have him on the show. Before we talk about that, a bit of housekeeping. My apologies for all the re-airs, and thank you guys for being totally awesome, because my numbers were still really good. So you were listening to the re-airs, which, like, wow, thank you for doing that. So I appreciate that immensely. You guys watching the re-airs, that's just really just fantastic. Anyway, so that said, what else? So Sirius XM tomorrow night, Patriot 125. Wanted to tell you about that. Also, there's another article from the Horn News coming. My editor asked me about today. He wants me to do something on Trump and the military. And I haven't totally fleshed that article out yet, but I will. Also, I think hi Thomas, hi Tony, hi Bill, everybody in Facey Land. I should probably talk about why I have so much makeup on. I feel like I should, because I don't usually... is that Janelle Pats? Hey girl. I'm going. I have a thing, a networking thing when I get done, because usually I have like some makeup on, but I'm a tad glammed out. So for you guys on SHR Media who are just listening audibly, who can't see me, I have a lot of makeup on. So I feel a little overdressed, but that's because I'm going. I have a little networking thing I got to do, because you got to do that networking thing sometimes. So that's what's going on there. Just thought I'd mention that. But anyway, that being said, what is going on in the news? There's actually a lot going on in the news. I mentioned this earlier in my earlier podcast, but I want to mention they passed the budget today, which is, total awesome sauce. They finally did it. It's not that I'm not excited. I am, but I'm skeptical. But, you know, it's a fantastic thing. And I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that they passed the budget today. So that's always a good thing. Amazon, as you guys know, Amazon really needs to send me a check because I feel like I'm always promoting them. I need to talk to them about that. But they're starting a new program where they'll give you, you can purchase like this key kit and they'll deliver things like in your house. That's the long and short of the Amazon situation. Also, the Trump administration is allowing people to test drones. I don't know what the hurry was behind this because he did it by executive order. So he's allowing more businesses to experiment with things like how to deliver. Okay, I get it. Hashtag capitalism. Okay. Deliver, fly above people, and go longer distances, which is all well and good because, you know, capitalism. Got it. I don't know if it needed to be done by executive order. That worries me just a tiny bit. I'm not, you know, we complained, we conservatives, just a little bit about the executive orders, right? We did. Hey, Katina, we complained, and justifiably so. So I'd like it. Oh, Josh is here. Hey, Josh. So, I'd like him to chill a little bit with the executive orders, frankly. I know. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that. Somebody's going to be like, really? Did you have to? It's a policy issue. It's not a diss. I'm just saying. In case you guys didn't know that Sears was still in business, they actually are. And they're bringing back the Wish Book. Remember the Wish Book? The holiday gift guide, which was like everything. Like when you got that was like the thing. I used to love the Sears Wish Book. Well, they're bringing it back. Okay? It was originally released way back in 1933. Now, this is exciting news. I think I might get myself one. I used to love those things. This year's is 120 pages. Now, when I was a kid, it seemed like it was like 500 pages, but I might be off on that. And the toy section was like huge. And I used to go through and like circle stuff, and it was like the most exciting thing ever. Okay. But anyway, I digress. Sears is bringing it back out, and listen, it's probably their last ditch effort to save themselves because, you know, they haven't been doing well for a while. When I saw this in the news, was actually shocked that they were still in business. I'm going to be honest with you. Senator Ted Harvey's here. Hey, how are you? Senator Ted Harvey's in the facey. How are you? All right. Anyhow, so that's Money Talk News for the day. Very happy to be back live. So happy that you guys are here. Very happy to have Chris Casamasa with me as my guest today. He's the #1 selling author of the book Bully-Proof Fitness. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your one and only business diva, Melanie Collette, and we will be back in a few moments.
Paying taxes. Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Some Republicans just don't give a rip. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, I totally understand the leftist Democrats and their media helpmeets still being out of sorts over the election of President Donald Trump. Mrs. Clinton is still engaged in the blame game. Poor thing. But the poor me-baby whine sniffle hurt establishment Republicans who had visions of grandeur globalism dancing in their adult brains are also still freaked out over the election of the Donald. They never had the will or the desire to stand against former President Obama's mission to fundamentally change America into an illegal immigrant overrun cesspool. But yet, they bristle at the very idea of President Trump leading a movement to make America great again, or for once govern on behalf of our republic. According to an excerpt from talk show host Laura Ingram's new book, Billionaire at the Barricades, during a private meeting of senior Republican senators, GOP leaders laughed out loud at the idea of Trump's border wall would ever get built. We don't have the funds for such a project, they said. Yet the government spends $25 billion a year to maintain vacant, unused buildings. Come election time, voters will no longer have time to tolerate those swamp dwellers. I'm Ron Edwards. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
And we're back, and I want to apologize to Ron Edwards because I'm sure he is listening going, that is not the most recent Ron Edwards notebook. And it isn't, and I promise you that the most current Ron Edwards, I told you my show's been a little bit out of sorts. It's election season. It's been a little hairy. Hey, Mr. Deontay, but I promise you I will have a fresh, awesome new Ron Edwards notebook next week. No doubt about it. That is going to happen. I want to give a few shout outs to a few people who just joined the chat. Mr. Deontay Johnson, Navarre, Louie, Natalie, how are you, darling? Kenna, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it very much. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guest let me say that again slowly. But before I do, that's better. But before I do, I want to tell you a bit about him. Chris Casamasa is a #1 best-selling author of the book Bully-Proof Fitness. He's also the founder of B90Z, Kickin' Fit Kids, and the current president of the 12 Red Dragon Karate Studios in Southern California. Chris oversees operations and helps studio owners across the country grow their business by getting them to focus on two simple and important concepts, service and quality. With his core programs, Kickin' Fit Kids, B90Z, and Red Dragon Karate, Chris has helped over 50,000 kids and adults become confident, fit, strong, and bully-proof. I'm very excited about introducing you to my guest today. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great, Melanie. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for tolerating my bloviating. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
Indeed. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, did I leave anything out of your bio that you'd like to share with my audience?
No, you covered most of the stuff that I've done besides the movies and TV shows, but you've covered all my serial entrepreneur stuff of the companies and programs that I've started and helped people around the country with.
Excellent. So I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm sure you heard me in the intro to the audience, like, why in the world are we talking about bullying on a money show? And I wanted to talk to you specifically about what the costs are. And are there any financial associations with bullying? What say you?
Yeah, there's tons of financial costs associated with them. I mean, of course, one of the biggest ones is, it's estimated that tomorrow alone, 160,000 kids are going to miss school due to fear of attack or intimidation by other students. And that's actually a source from the National Education Association. The schools lose money. When kids don't go to school, whether they're sick or being bullied, it costs them money because they're paid to attend their schools. So it's bad enough that budgets are being cut on one hand, and then when they get lack of attendance on the other, really cuts into that, which of course leads to a lack of education, which leads to people not being able to get the high-paying jobs that they want to do. So it's kind of an ugly downward spiral as far as the financial cost is concerned.
Absolutely, indeed. And I know some people in my audience know or may not know that I'm a former public school teacher, and I'm also an adjunct professor. But I worked in schools for years. I worked in a private school for 14 years before I started teaching in public school. So I have 25 years in education, having dealt with this issue of bullying. And there are other costs as well that are not financial. There's costs in self-esteem. There's costs, emotionally. There's costs academically.
It's a really big problem because kids that are bullied, if they don't do something to fix it or something that helps their self-esteem, it leads to a variety of things: anxiety, depression, substance abuse. They self-harm themselves because they're depressed and they're anxious. They don't know what's going on. And that leads to rising medical costs because they're in the hospital or in and out of the doctors. So, it has a profound effect, as you know.
Exactly. And so if anyone is wondering, like, why in the world is she having someone who's talking about, bullying or defending yourself, it's really an important matter. And on a personal finance level, I would think that someone who is bullied at some point probably seeks some type of assistance themselves, whether it's through therapy or I would think all of those things are factors as well on a personal level.
Yeah, well, you're actually right on that.
Yeah. So there's always, the fun thing, the great thing about my show is that money is everywhere, and there's always a cost. There's always a financial impact on everything that you do, and whether it impacts you positively or negatively. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about that. So talk to me about why you wrote Bully Proof Fitness and what the goal of your book is.
Well, the reason I wrote it was to help parents, right? I'm from California, from the LA area, and we've got, like you said in the intro, we've got 12 Red Dragon Karate schools here in Southern California. So we've been able to help, over 50,000 kids get bully-proof, fit, strong, and healthy. So I wanted to take that out across the country and do what I could to help. And, bullying is really almost an epidemic at this point. So many kids are getting bullied on a daily basis. It's really, really bad. And I know that just through personal experience, I've been doing this for over 35 years, when kids start working out, when they start exercising, and really, whether it's martial arts or just regular exercises, if they just do it, a couple more days a week than normal, which most kids don't, they're playing video games and things like that, it helps them. And not only does it help them feel better about themselves, which builds their self-esteem, but it makes them physically stronger, so they're at less risk of getting sick or getting picked on. So I want to help. Out there trying to help parents win the battle against bullies and bellies across America right now. My goal is to have 1 million kids fit, strong, and healthy by 2020. I love it.
And it's hard to be fit and strong and healthy sitting in front of a computer all day. You just can't. And, I'm a techie person. I love the technology. But you do have to you got to get out. You got to get some exercise. And
right.
A bully is a lot less likely, I would think, to attack you physically if they think you can kick their butt.
Yeah, well, it's not so much about that. And a lot of people in the public who don't understand the martial arts think that, if they learn martial arts, they'll learn to beat people up and fight back and all that.
Right.
And really, at its core, that's not what the martial arts was developed for. It was, it's millennium old. It's over 2,000 years old, the arts themselves, of people, for one specific reason, learning to protect and defend themselves. So ultimately, when we're teaching kids martial arts, we're not teaching them to be, gladiators out in the arena to beat people up. But what we're trying to do is, instead of creating a generation of super bullies, we're out there trying to create a generation of superheroes that help each other.
Excellent. I like that. I like that very much. So what are some of the strategies and things that that you use to help parents help their kids without, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's a great question. A couple of them are just really educational in the fact that, most people think you have to work out for hours and hours a day to be in this great shape and do that, and you really don't. Like, inside the book, we've got a 5-day, 5-minute-a-day fitness formula where, like, everybody's got 5 minutes a day, right? So if you could just follow this simple plan 5 days a week for 5 minutes a day, like, you'll be on the path to getting fit, strong, and healthy. And then the other big component, of course, is food and the food that they eat, because the number one thing that any martial artist or physical fitness trainer will tell you is you simply cannot out-train a bad diet, right? I could work out for 2 or 3 hours a day, but if I'm out there eating fast food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner then I'm just spinning my wheels and not going anywhere. So and I include that in the book, right? I give a whole food plan, a meal plan, a guideline. And the other thing about that is it's not a diet, right? I don't believe in diets because I think diets are a short-term fix to a long-term problem. What we're trying to do is educate the parents to teach their children how to eat healthy. Now, I have 2 kids. I don't know if you have any kids, but when I was in school, I was never really taught how to eat properly. You know, they teach you the food pyramid and all that. When you become a parent, they don't tell you, well, this is exactly what you should feed your kid, how you should feed it. But now there's enough science and research that's been done on the topic that it's actually easy to figure out and find out for parents to get themselves educated to eat. And parents, of course, are the leaders and the role models, right?
Yes.
Statistically, it's proven that the majority of overweight kids come from parents who are overweight themselves. And that's not to blame the parents as well, because, I mean, we're becoming a fast food society and becoming more and more dormant with the rise of technology. But it's just an eye-opener, an awakening moment to say, hey, you didn't become overweight overnight. So you're not going to get physically fit and superstar status overnight either. It'll take a little time, but if you get in the habit of eating right and exercising regularly, then over time, it's going to be awesome.
I like it. Now, let me ask you, do you find, or do you think there's an argument to be made, and I hear this argument a lot, that, well, it's really, really expensive to eat healthy? How do you...
Yeah, that's actually, that's one of those urban legends, urban myths. It's cheaper to buy your groceries and make your food for the week than it is to eat out. And it's like a 2-to-1 ratio. I can't remember the study that was done, but they did a cross comparison of if you went shopping and you bought chicken breasts and rice and vegetables and fruit and stuff, and you just cost averaged it out for the week, and then you went out to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it was 2 or 3 times the amount you would spend by eating out. But what happens is people don't plan, right? So what I try, one of the education things I do is I say, look, on the weekends, that's when you plan your meals for the week. Like chicken and steak especially, they'll keep for a week in the fridge. So if you make everything on Saturday or Sunday and you use those little Tupperwares, you can just plan it out for the entire week. It takes a little bit of work, but the end result is a kid who is fit, strong, and healthy, not just for right now, but really for the rest of their life. And they walk around with confidence and self-esteem that will carry over into every part of their life in everything that they do.
Indeed. And let me ask you this. It's just popped into my head. What role does your fitness play with being mentally and emotionally healthy, or does it in your mind? And how does that relate to, bullying and how you can cope with that?
Well, listen, by training with the martial arts, you build a confidence and self-esteem of what you can and what you are able to do. So mentally, you're more prepared, right? Like, I've been in martial arts my entire life. I started when I was 4 years old. So I've been literally in 3 actual real street fights for my entire life. Had I not been in the martial arts, I probably would have been in 24 of them. It's just because the way that I carry myself and the way of what I know I can do, right? When I'm walking or making eye contact with someone, it comes across as self-assured and self-confident. And bullies will tend to pick on the weak. And
yes.
The kids that are shy, introverted, or the kids that are overweight. So kids are and I say this all the time, kids are evil little bastards. They make fun of each other in ways that are vicious. Now, I know I was a kid, you were a kid, it happened, and back in the day, it was kind of, it's just kind of how it happens, but it's affecting kids more and more nowadays. So, when we go out, and I go to a ton of public schools all over the country, and I do these talks on bully prevention, and we don't just teach them how to defend themselves against a bully, but we teach them to identify bullying behaviors so that they don't become one. And kids that find out that, oh my gosh, I've been doing this, they come up to me afterwards and they're crying, and I didn't even know that was a bullying thing. And so just creating that awareness and helping them identify those behaviors just gives them, it just changes their whole life, which is what we're trying to do.
That is very true. Your countenance and your demeanor have a lot to do, believe it or not, and this is not to blame the victim, but does have a lot to do with whether or not you'll be a victim. I mentioned that I do Sirius Radio, and the studio's in New York City on Sirius XM, and it's a nighttime show. And people have asked me, aren't you afraid to be in New York City, at that hour, blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, let me tell you the key to walking around in the inner city. Have a place to go and look like it. Don't look like you're, even if you're lost, don't look like you're lost. Look like you're going to wherever that place you don't know where you're going to with intent.
Yep.
That is absolutely the key. If you're walking around looking doe-eyed and lost, you might as well paint victim on your head. Because
and the other one, if you've got especially if you're a female, if you've got your head buried inside of your cell phone,
yep.
And you're living in that virtual world while you're walking down the street, it makes it very easy for someone to attack you or grab you or assault you. And that's one of the things that we try and teach women all the time is keep your head up, keep your eyes forward, stay focused on where you're going and what you're doing. Whatever's happening on your phone, it's not that important, and it'll be there when you arrive at your destination.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. And that is, and it, you know, it's hard to remember, especially in a place like New York City, which seems like nighttime, seems like daytime at 3 a.m. So, you know what I mean? Because it's so ridiculously lit up. Anybody who's ever been to New York City, when they call it the city that never sleeps, it literally it is. Like, just,
that is true.
Yeah.
I actually just got back. We were teaching at a couple of schools up there, and I love Manhattan, by the way.
So do I.
Great, but love the energy. But yeah, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's still a ton of stuff going on.
Exactly. And so, you know, but we said all that to say, you know, your demeanor, and like I said, it's not to blame the victim, but some of where that bullying comes from is a person's lack of confidence, a person's low self-esteem. A bully will hone in on that, I guess is my point, because they see it as a weakness. And so
that's right. One of the stories we tell is the story about the lions and the gazelles, right? So when a pride of lions is attacking the gazelles, they don't ever go for the gazelle that's in the front because that's the fastest one, and they don't go for the gazelle in the back because that's the strongest one. They look for the weakest, slowest one, and that's usually in the middle. It's going to be one of the little cubs, or not cubs, but one of the, I don't know what baby gazelle is called, but they're looking for the weakness, and that's what they attack.
Yep, that is absolutely true. That is 150% true. And so that is important to keep in mind. And you know, when you're dealing with children, it's very difficult to get that point across to parents without parents feeling like you're blaming their kid. Do you how do you teach that point or make that point in your book and in your classes?
Well, I said this just a little bit ago, and that is the parents have to be the positive role models, and parents should never blame themselves. It's rarely the parents' fault when it comes to their kid being bullied, but we're aware of it now, right? It's in the news, it's on the media all the time. Now you've just got to course correct. You've got to make those small changes that'll make a big difference over time, and they have to start, right? And like I said earlier, you know, if the parents are overweight and out of shape, they've got to be the role models. I mean, your kids look up to you in ways that you can't even begin to understand. So it's important that they start to lead by example, which is why I always tell martial arts is one of the few activities and sports that not only builds self-confidence and self-esteem, but the entire family can do it together, right? Like if I go play Little League Baseball, my mom or dad can't play with me. You know, they can sit there in the stands, but martial arts is cool like that because the whole family can do it together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen. Now, we're going to be up on a break at about 5:40. But before we do that, I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about how it is that you do your operations. Those are not the words I wanted to use. How it is that you run your operations, that you facilitate your operations, so that you focus on service and quality, and how it is that you help other studio owners, other business owners, because I would imagine that some of the things are, you know, martial arts specific, but many other things are probably transferable to other businesses, I would imagine.
Yeah, and that's a lot of small business owners that I coach, and I don't just coach martial arts schools, but I coach small business owners to help them, you know, grow their business, serve more people in their community, and live a better lifestyle. And it's really focused on those two things, service and quality. First of all, they've got to have a quality product going out because people can. I hope it's okay to say a bad word, but people.
No. Don't say a bad word.
You're putting out a cheap product, then you know you'll make some short-term, quick buck sales, but you're not going to have any long-term success, right? And the average small business fails within the first 3 years.
Yeah.
So by number one on having a great quality product, that is going to be key. And the second part, of course, is providing great customer service. And, you know, you can think of something that has some of the worst customer service in the world. Like you can name 3 things. People go, oh, yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Your doctor, your dentist, and the DMV. Right? Like if I set an appointment for 3 o'clock at my doctor's office, sometimes that guy didn't see me until 4:45.
Right.
That is horrible customer service. they're just lucky we need them.
Ridiculous.
Right? They get away with that nonsense, the way they schedule. Like, I'd like to go in and help a doctor's office become more efficient on scaling their customers and serving them better. But even in martial arts industries and small businesses, people just, sometimes they walk in the door and they just ignore them. And they don't even, the goal that we teach people is within the first 10 seconds when someone walks through your door, you should greet them. And 10 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but if you and I stopped talking and set a timer for 10 seconds, your listeners would go, what happened? Did they just go off the air? It seems like an eternity.
Yep.
So simple things like that can help businesses really succeed, not only short term, but long term.
Absolutely. And, I wonder about that doctor's office thing. Somebody in the Facey chat just said he has to wait like that for his doctor's office. Now, I live in South Jersey now, in Cape May, like a shore area, where there are not nearly as many doctors. I'm sure it's because of the population. But when I lived and the waits are exactly like you described. But when I lived in Philadelphia, I mean, my doctor literally had a sign that said, please let us know if you've been waiting longer than 20 minutes. Like, I never had a long wait when I lived in Philly. So I'm wondering if it's really like the old business model of just competition.
Well,
I don't
know about that, because there's millions of doctors and there's millions of dentists. So
where you live, for sure.
Scheduling. That other doctor you had was a good one. That's a great customer service thing. Putting a little sign like that, hey, we apologize for the wait, or if you've been waiting longer than 20 minutes, let us know. Like, that's a good business right there. It's a good business model. So, and when I use the example of dentist's office or doctor's office, I'm obviously not talking about all of them, because there are some great ones out there. Like the dentist I go to now, I don't wait longer than 10 minutes. And he is super busy and super popular in our area, and everybody wants to go to him, but he's got a system and a science and a process that allows him to get people in and out of there within 10 minutes of a scheduled appointment. So there's some dentists and doctors that are just nailing it. They're hitting home runs right out of the park. Unfortunately, it's not the majority of them.
It's true. It is very true. And the first time I went to a doctor down here, and the doctor was just like very casual about the fact that like he was seeing me an hour and a half after my scheduled appointment. I was absolutely mortified, because I was spoiled. That was not that was not what I was used to. And I was looking at him like, what is wrong with you? And so, yeah, it's just kind of, but I would bet that doctor, all in all, is far more successful. Would have to be, I would think.
You would think.
Yeah, I would think so. But that, and listen, not for nothing, wouldn't you want your patients to be in your office happy when you're taking their blood pressure and not annoyed?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. We're up against the break. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette. We have our guest today is Chris Casamasa. He is author of the book Bullyproof Fitness and founder of B90Z Kick and Fit Kids. We're talking to him about quality and service when it comes to small businesses, because he also consults with small businesses. And we're talking to him earlier about bullying. We are going to be back on the other side of the break to continue our conversation.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Stackhead Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk. Stackhead Sean and Stackhead Clint. And we're working on integration papers for certain other guys that happen to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Stackhead Radio.
Heart, 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 news. Heart, 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 news.
Radio.
Heart, 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 news. Heart, 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 news.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
Okay, we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we have with us today Chris Casamasa, who is the #1 best-selling author of the book Bully Proof Fitness. If you happen to be watching on Facebook or YouTube, then you see that I have a big fluffy ball of fur on my lap, otherwise known as the Fur Diva, my little puppy dog, who's in studio with me every single day. But since I haven't, usually she's pretty well trained during my show to take a nap and just kind of chill. But since I haven't done a live show in a while, I've been doing some re-airs. You know, she's older. She forgets. So she's like literally like bouncing around me, like pick me up, and I'm like, do you not see that I'm like broadcasting here, dog? So if you're watching on Facey, you'll see my fur diva on my lap, which is much better than her barking. Trust me, it's not something that anybody wants to hear. She's so lucky she's cute. Anyway, Chris, getting back to, we were talking about quality and service and the fact that you consult with other businesses and you help them to kind of up their quality and service game, other small businesses, and not just karate studios, but any business. Let me ask you, where do you start? Do you start with some type of assessment? Or how does that work?
Yeah, usually what I do is I do kind of a secret shopper thing. So if a business owner reaches out to me and wants to use us, we'll send someone in to use the service of the business and just kind of give it a 12-point checklist of things that could happen and things that should happen and things that did happen. And that gives us kind of a starting point. And then, we'll sit down and talk to the owner of the business and see what their needs are and what they're trying to do. And most small businesses, especially if they're struggling, want to do two things: get more customers and make more money. So
right.
we try and go through a checklist for them of showing them ways that they can do it once the product that they're offering is a good quality product.
Exactly. Now, have you ever had an instance where you felt the product was not a good quality product? I mean, how I would imagine people are not very receptive to being told something like that.
No, they're not. They're not. What happens with entrepreneurs a lot is they're in love with their own product, and they love it so much they're blind to how the customer actually perceives it, and that leads to trouble in the long run. The ones that are open-minded and willing to change and adapt are the ones that end up being very successful.
People are like that with their kids too. Just getting back to the bullying thing. As having been in education for many, many, many years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The people are like that with and businesses are very much like people's children. So you can understand why people don't want to hear, bad news about their product or service. But the people
the problem with that, of course, is if they ignore it, it only gets worse, right? So ultimately, that's one of the things that we try and help the parents with is you can't ignore it. It's just not going to go away. And it goes beyond their childhood years because there's a thing called workplace bullying where people are bullied at work by other coworkers, and with the latest things in the news, that bullying becomes sexual harassment, right?
Yes.
So, like I said, it's a downward spiral that only gets worse over time.
And the thing about those things, from a political perspective, is it's so very difficult to see it. It's kind of like racism and harassment. I don't know because we're not on video. I don't know if you saw a picture of me or not, but I'm brown. So, but all of that stuff can be so subjective. Even bullying can be subjective. I think, mean, in my opinion, from an education perspective, I think some things that are called bullying may not necessarily be bullying. And frankly, listen, I'm not suggesting that it's okay to bully anyone. I was a victim of bullying, and high school was very rough for me. Very rough. But that said, I think some of that experience, and I would not want to repeat it, and I don't have any children, but I wouldn't want any children of mine to go through it. But some of that has helped me establish some of the strengths that I have developed today. So, it's a fine line sometimes as to how we want to protect our kids and protect ourselves from things like bullying in the workplace, protect our kids from bullying at school, protect ourselves from sexual harassment. Like what is too far? If I have a 70-year-old coworker who says I have a nice dress on, am I really going to report him for sexual harassment when really, back in the day, like, that was okay? You know what I mean?
It's people are, a couple things on what you're saying. Number one, bullying itself will probably never go away. Ultimately, our goal is to educate and train people on what to do when it happens. It's going to happen no matter what. We can minimize its damage. We can minimize the risk by knowing what to do. Most people that are bullied, whether it's at school or in the workplace, don't know what to do.
True.
Or even what to say or who to say it to. And, that's really part of the education process of us letting them know it's okay to do it. There's a difference between telling and tattling, right?
Right.
Tattling you just do to get someone in trouble, and telling something you do to help someone. So they've got to learn and understand the difference between those things. And again, it's so that they can deal with it.
It's true. And, a lot of, and again, it's hard to see whether or not you're blaming the victim in some cases, because some people don't tell because it's going to, if I tell, it's going to jeopardize my career. And in my mind, I go, well, what's more important? Whether or not you stop this person or jeopardizing your career. So, you know what I mean? Like, that person needs to be stopped because there's going to be victims behind you. So, and at the risk of sounding holier than thou, that's what I think of in my mind. I'm like, so that was like a price you were willing to pay for your success, apparently. You weren't willing to sacrifice your success at that moment in time for the sake of helping people who were going to come behind you and suffer that same fate. So I look at it.
They're probably not thinking about that. They're just probably, if that's happening to someone, right? You said you were bullied And even though I was in martial arts, people still tried to pick on me, but it's because that I knew how to deal with it. You came up with a way on how to deal with it. That's not the case for the majority of people. And what happens, especially as an adult, like, you do blame yourself. You do freak out and not know what to do, and it causes a lot of problems. So you're really not thinking about the person who's next. You're thinking about, why me? Why this? Why that?
True.
And you go into this almost like a shell where you're not thinking anything through clearly because you haven't been taught or trained how to deal with it.
True. That is very true. I mean, the things that are going on now with the sexual harassment, and I not totally shocked, but not totally shocked that it went on. A little bit shocked about how it had been handled over the course of years. Just like, wow, that this is, and I guess how it's being communicated, having females saying, well, had I told, I wouldn't have got that movie role. Well, doggone, it was that important? And maybe it was. I mean, these are very successful actresses, but I'm like, I don't know. Was it worth it? And maybe it was. And I don't mean to sound like I'm convicting them, but some people think that way, and I think even kids think that way. They don't want to get people in trouble. And from a victim's perspective, you're always thinking you don't want to get that person in trouble. Because
right. They think they're tattling instead of telling, and that's what I was saying, is they've got to understand the difference and know the difference, which is why I'm happy to be here on the show talking about it. It's why I'm happy that people let me on their shows to talk about it, because the more people I can make aware of it and educate about it, then the better we can help make this world.
For sure, because we definitely need less bullies in this world. Okay, so tell us about how they can, where my listeners can get the book, and if there are any entrepreneurs or business owners that are listening, how they can avail yourself of your consulting services as well.
All right. Well, here we go. All the shameless plugs, of course.
Absolutely. Go.
So the book's available on Amazon. They can just type in Bullyproof Fitness or my last name, Casamasa, which is a good Italian name, like we discussed earlier.
Yes, indeed.
They can type that into Amazon and find the book there. Or they can also get a free copy at our website. I've been giving out hundreds of free copies to parents around the country at bullyprooffitness.com. All one word, bullyprooffitness.com. There's also a free link there for parents that there's a PDF that they can download for things that they can help their kids with at home, find out if they've been bullied or if they're being bullied, what to do. And there's even a link there for teachers, for school teachers and administrators at schools,
Great.
On ways that they can keep their schools fit. Whether I'm there or not, I'm still going to give them the resources. The other cool thing, especially for kids, is we have an app. So there's a free app. It's in iTunes and on Google Play. And again, if you type in Bullyproof or Bullyproof Fitness, the app will come up. We give some free workout videos, food guides, all that stuff. Because like I said, my goal, my mission, my passion, my purpose is to help 1 million kids at least get fit, strong, healthy, confident, and bullyproof by 2020. And with shows like yours, I can do that. We're getting the word out there. We're getting the message out there. And I thank you so much for doing that. If anybody wants to get a hold of me for speaking or coaching their business or coming to their events or their school, they can go to my personal website, which is chriscasamasa.com. Good luck on spelling that. It's a lot of S's and a lot of A's. But if you Google me, you'll find a whole world of Chris Casamasa there at chriscasamasa.com or bullyprooffitness.com. So, Melanie, I just want to say thank you again for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Chris. Thank you for being my maiden voyage, going back live, because I have not done a live show in quite some time. I apologize for being a teensy bit rusty. I'm a little because I haven't done a live show in a little bit. But thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it very much.
All right, Melanie. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Have a great night. And that was Chris Casamasa, ladies and gentlemen. So glad that he was on the show to talk to us about bullying. I'm going to, when I post the podcast later, make sure that I post all of those resources, particularly, the resources for parents and teachers. And apparently he is giving away a free book there as well. So I will make sure that I post that in the information for the podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening to Money Talk with Melanie today. Remember, all of this is very important because it is your money.